Most men are waiting for a moment that will never come. They're holding out for the obvious, the clear, the spoken. A woman walking up and saying exactly what she feels. But that's not how attraction actually works. When a woman is drawn to someone, she doesn't announce it, she signals it. And if you don't know what to look for, you'll miss the entire conversation she's already having with you. Here's something worth sitting with. Research published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior found that more than 90% of the emotional communication happening between two people never involves a single spoken word. 90%. That means the most important thing she's expressing to you right now isn't coming out of her mouth. It's happening through her body, her movements, her hands. And the vast majority of men have never been taught how to read any of it. The honest truth is that women aren't actually that difficult to understand. The signals are there, and they're surprisingly consistent. Women communicate enormous amounts of information through what they touch, how they move, and where their attention goes when they're genuinely interested in someone. The gap isn't in the signals themselves. The gap is in whether the person on the receiving end knows what those signals mean. That changes right now. Everything covered here is grounded in real behavioral science. Research from institutions like Harvard, Princeton, and the Kinsey Institute. This isn't recycled advice dressed up as insight. These are findings from clinical studies, body language research, and expert analysis of how human attraction actually expresses itself physically. Before getting into the first sign, there's something important to flag about the eighth and final one on this list. Most men don't just miss it. They actively misread it. They interpret it as disinterest, even boredom. But when a woman does it, what she's actually communicating is that she's already mentally placed herself in your world. That one alone is worth staying for because it will reframe interactions you've already had and ones you haven't had yet. So, starting from the beginning, the first thing a woman touches when she's attracted to someone is her hair. That probably sounds familiar. But the part most people don't understand is the distinction between a woman moving hair out of her face because it's in her way and a woman touching her hair because of the person standing in front of her. Those are two entirely different behaviors, and the difference matters. Dr. David Givens, who has spent more than 30 years directing the Center for Nonverbal Studies, found through his research on human courtship that when a woman repeatedly touches, twirls, or repositions her hair while talking to a man, it functions as one of the most ancient and reliable attraction signals in the entire species. This isn't a conscious decision she's making, it's neurological. When attraction fires up dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain, it generates nervous energy in the hands, and the hair is one of the first places that energy naturally travels. One casual touch that doesn't repeat. That's probably just grooming. But when she keeps going back to it, twisting a strand around her finger, sweeping it over one shoulder to expose her neck, that's not maintenance. That's her body drawing a map to itself. And that mention of the neck connects directly to the next signal, which goes even deeper. When a woman lightly runs her fingers along her neck or traces her collarbone while she's talking to you, something very specific is happening on a neurological level. The neck is one of the most physically vulnerable areas of the human body. Major arteries sit just beneath the surface. From an evolutionary standpoint, exposing or drawing attention to the neck has always functioned as a signal of trust and openness. Without a single word, she's communicating that she feels safe and that she wants you to see her in a more intimate way. Vanessa Van Edwards, who leads the Science of People Research Lab, has noted that neck touching during conversations with men, a woman finds attractive increases by close to 300% compared to interactions with men she has no interest in. 300%. That number isn't a coincidence. It's biology operating exactly as it was designed to. From a personal standpoint, this one is particularly involuntary. It's the kind of thing that happens and you don't even catch yourself doing it until the conversation is already over, which is exactly why it's worth paying attention to. When you see it, trust it. Her body is telling you something her words haven't gotten around to yet. The next sign is subtle but loaded with intention. When a woman touches her lips, pressing a finger lightly against them, biting her lower lip, or applying lip balm slowly while holding eye contact, she is directing your gaze on purpose. Whether or not she's fully conscious of it, she knows what she's doing. Research out of the University of Manchester used eye-tracking technology to study where men focus when looking at a woman's face, and the findings showed that approximately 43% of that visual attention lands on the lips, particularly when the lips contrast with the surrounding skin tone. Women have understood this for a very long time. It's literally the reason lip color exists as a cosmetic tool, to make that particular feature more visible and more inviting. When a woman touches her lips in the middle of a conversation with you, she's amplifying a signal that you're already biologically wired to respond to. She's putting emphasis on the exact thing your attention is already moving toward. That's not subtle. That's a green light with a spotlight on it. Now here's one that separates genuine interest from casual conversation, and most men walk right past it without registering a thing. When a woman starts fidgeting with her jewelry while talking to you, playing with a necklace, spinning a ring, pulling gently at an earring, her nervous system is reacting to your presence. This behavior has a name in behavioral psychology. It's called a self-soothing displacement behavior. It happens when the body is experiencing a surge of emotional energy, excitement, nervousness, attraction, and needs somewhere to put it. The jewelry becomes the release valve for everything she's feeling internally because of you. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, whose research on communication has become foundational in the field, found that when people are emotionally engaged in conversation, self-touching behaviors increase in direct proportion to that engagement. The more activated she is by your presence, the more her hands need something to do. And when that something consistently happens to be a necklace resting above her chest, she's doing more than soothing herself. She's subtly drawing your attention exactly where she wants it. From self-touching, the progression moves to direct contact, and this is where any remaining ambiguity disappears. When a woman reaches out and touches your arm, your shoulder, or your hand during a conversation, she has just crossed a significant social threshold. Touch between two people who aren't yet intimate is a substantial act, and it doesn't happen by accident. A study from DePaul University found that a brief, intentional touch during a social interaction meaningfully increases how warm, trustworthy, and attractive the recipient perceives the person who initiated it. When she reaches out and makes contact, she isn't just signaling interest, she's also creating a feeling of closeness, pulling you emotionally toward her. It works in both directions simultaneously, and it's one of the most effective things the body knows how to do. Here's the frustrating part about this particular signal. When a woman initiates that touch and gets no response, no lean in, no reciprocal warmth, nothing, it feels like extending your hand for a handshake and having the other person just stare at it. It's deflating in a way that's hard to describe. So if a woman touches your arm while you're talking, don't freeze. Acknowledge it. Mirror it. She just communicated something significant without using a single word. This next one is almost invisible, and that's exactly what makes it so revealing. When you're sitting across from a woman at a table, whether it's a bar, a coffee shop, a restaurant, pay attention to what her hands are doing with whatever she's holding. If she's running a finger slowly around the rim of her glass, tracing the edge of her cup, sliding her fingertip along the stem of a wine glass, that gesture has a name in body language research. It's a seduction signal. Joe Navarro, a body language researcher and former FBI behavioral analyst, has written in detail about how people manipulate objects during conversation as a way of expressing emotional engagement and frequently sexual interest. The object in her hand becomes a stand-in. She's redirecting the physical energy of her attraction somewhere tangible because the relationship hasn't yet reached the point where she can direct it at you. The glass absorbs what she actually wants to give. If she's doing this while holding eye contact and smiling, the message couldn't be clearer. The only thing missing is a caption. When a woman begins adjusting her clothing while she's around you, straightening a top, smoothing a skirt, tugging at a sleeve, checking that everything looks the way she wants it to, she's engaged in one of the oldest courtship behaviors that exists. Researchers call it preening, and its roots go deep into evolutionary biology. Jeffrey Miller, an ornithologist and evolutionary biologist, has documented the parallels between how humans present themselves to potential partners and how birds groom and display before a mate. It isn't vanity driving the behavior. It's the biological impulse to show up as the best possible version of yourself in front of someone whose attention you want to earn. Context is everything with this one. If she was already adjusting her outfit before you entered the picture, that's just regular self-awareness. But if it starts happening after she notices you, or while she's in the middle of talking to you, that's targeted. She wants to make sure that what you're seeing is the best she has to offer. The fact that your perception of her matters that much, that tells you something important all by itself. And now, the eighth signal, the one that gets misread almost every single time. When a woman rests her chin in her hand, cradles her face gently, or touches her cheek while you're speaking, most men read it as a sign that she's tuning out. They see the relaxed posture, the propped up head, and they assume she's losing interest or running out of patience. Almost always, they're reading it completely backwards. What she's actually doing has a name, facial framing. and it's considered one of the most intimate self-touching signals a person can display. Dr. Monica Moore from Webster University conducted a study observing more than 200 women across a range of social settings and cataloged over 50 distinct nonverbal flirting behaviors. Facial self-touching, specifically chin resting and cheek cradling, landed in the top 10 most frequently observed signals among women who were actively attracted to and engaged with the man they were talking to. The reason it works the way it does is straightforward. When a woman frames her own face with her hands, she's instinctively drawing attention to her expressions, her eyes, her smile. She's asking you to look at her, really look, in a way that's open and unguarded. It's a vulnerable gesture. It usually only surfaces when she's comfortable enough to let her defenses down. So, if you've ever been deep in a conversation with a woman, talking while she sat with her chin in her hand and her eyes on yours, and you walked away thinking she seemed bored, she wasn't. She was genuinely invested in you, and the opportunity was there the whole time. Here's the larger truth behind all of these signals. Not one of them uses words, and that's precisely why they go unnoticed. We're trained to process what people say. We listen for the spoken message and miss everything else, but the body leads. It communicates first, and it communicates honestly. A woman's words might stay neutral. Her hands, her posture, her unconscious gestures, those are where the real information lives. Knowing these signals isn't a tool for manipulation. It's a call to pay attention. The next time you're in a conversation and you notice her twisting her hair or touching her neck or playing with the necklace at her collarbone or resting her chin in her hand while she looks at you, don't just register it passively. Understand what it means. Respond to it, because she's already taken the first steps toward you. All that's left is for you to meet her there. And now that you understand how a woman expresses attraction through touch, there's a whole other layer worth exploring: what she's actually hoping you'll do about it. Recognizing the signals is only the first half. Knowing how to respond is where most men either rise to the moment or let it slip away completely. If this opened your eyes, share it with someone who could use the perspective. Some things are too useful to keep to yourself.